So we all know Donald Trump absolutely hijacked the Republican Party and completely reshaped and rebranded it altogether. He brought out the worst in the Republican Party, and the worst of the Republican Party sold out and circled around him and pushed him to the moon. He brought out the worst in a lot of the American people. And he also brought a whole lot of people, I've said this so many times, he brought a whole lot of people into the conversation that knew nothing about politics. But they started off with a steady diet of reality shows and WWE and Jerry Springer, and they just wanted to be entertained. Remember when Kurt Cobain said, "Here we are now, entertain us"? That's all MAGA has ever wanted, is someone to entertain them and make them feel better about themselves and give them some sort of ridiculous culture war to be fighting for, because they want to feel like they're oppressed, and they want to feel like that they're the only people in the world that's ever got a problem. So that is the kind of people that Donald Trump attracted. He attracted the worst of the Republican Party, the biggest sellouts within the government circled around him and pushed him to the moon, and then the absolute worst of people got underneath him because he empowered them to be just that. So he did. He hijacked the Republican Party. I've said many times here on the channel that he completely destroyed the Republican Party of our grandfathers, or maybe he exposed them for who they always were. I hate to say it that way, but that's something I've wrestled with for a long time. Did he hijack the Republican Party? Did he take away my grandfather's Republican Party? Or was my grandfather's Republican Party always this disgusting? It's one or the other, but you can't deny that Donald Trump has reshaped it and completely rebranded it, and there's no putting the toothpaste back in the tube. So that leaves us over here on the Democratic side going, what do we do? Like, how do we move forward? And a lot of people will say, well, I'm upset with the Democratic Party. How could we fix the Democratic Party? And Congressman Khanna, who represents the 17th District of California, has been out making some speeches, making some appearances, and he gets it. He gets it that we are the Democratic Party. Roll the clip.
I always perplexed when people say, you know, we're really upset at the Democratic Party. What are you going to do? And they're Democrats. I said, you are the Democratic Party. You are any Democrat registered is part of the Democratic Party. And I said this: if Donald Trump could take over the Republican Party, sure, we could take over the Democratic Party to make it what we want to be.
We have to make it what we want it to be, and we have to make it, I don't want to borrow a line from Donald Trump here, but when he said too big to rig, that's kind of what we have to do on our side of the aisle. We have to come out so strong, and we have to get so loud and be so united that there's no way in the world the establishment can ignore us, because that's what happened over on the Republican side, and Donald Trump brought out the worst of people with the worst of ideas. So we've got a lot of good people on our side with the better ideas, and the ideas that are actually more popular with the American people. Here's the kicker, folks. When I'm sitting and having conversations with people, a lot of times I've noticed that if I don't say the word Democrat, especially here in the Bible Belt where I'm at, if I just start talking about the issues at hand and how we could go about fixing them and what we want to see happen, I can get most people around here to agree with me. It's when they realize who I am, or they realize that I've got a D beside my name, and then it's like, oh, the minute you say Democrat, D ain't for Democrat around here, it's for devil. They think it's evil, they won't hear you out, they won't listen to you, but we have to continue to let them know what it is that we stand for, and we also have to let them know what it is that we stand against, and like Andy Bashir said, we have to explain why. But I've got a couple of more clips here of Khanna, because he's been making some really good points here lately, and whenever somebody on our side is bringing these kind of points, I think it's important to highlight them. So let's roll this one.
But what do we need? What am I going to do? Well, one, I'm going to stand up very clearly, whether it's popular or not, for our Constitution, for our First Amendment, and even for our immigrants having free speech and due process. I said, look, the First Amendment, if you read it, it doesn't say First Amendment applies to citizens. It says First Amendment applies to every person in the United States. And if we are indifferent when Donald Trump comes after the trans community, if we are indifferent when he comes after the LGBTQ community, if we are indifferent when he comes after the Venezuelan community, when he comes after the Muslim community, when he comes after women, then soon he will come after us. We need to stand for principle in this country.
He's absolutely right. We do have to stand for our principles, and we have to stand up for people. That's why that I won't have conversations with people. I want to give the people that Donald Trump has demonized the most are the people that I want to turn the microphone over to. And that's why I recently had Jenna, a trans activist, come on the channel. I wanted to hear her side of things. I wanted to hear her story. I didn't want to hear Joe Rogan tell me about it. I didn't want to hear Theo Vaughn or some other bro podcaster sit there and scratch his nuts and try to figure out what was going on. I wanted to hear from someone who has been through it. And I feel like that we need to always listen and hear people out. And, you know, I love that he's talking about the First Amendment, because we are the party of free speech, but we've been demonized, and they have gaslit everybody so hard on this one and used the straw man argument so much on this one. But we've always been the party of free speech. It's just that they confused the whole cancel culture thing. They confused all of that with we're wanting to take away rights from people. And I've always said that with words comes consequences, which is now something Pam Bondi's saying to Jasmine Crockett. But when we have called people out, I don't want to see people, let me say this, for anyone that's like going, where's he going with this? I don't want to see people canceled. I've never been a fan of that. I don't want to see people's livelihood stripped out from under them and their whole lives destroyed over something they said or something unpopular they said. But with their speech comes consequence. So if someone stands up and says something that we absolutely disagree with, we have to voice that. They're going to voice it, so we have to too. There are people that you will never see on my channel. There are people I would never sit down and talk with because I don't want to platform it. But they have the right to say what they want to say on their own platforms and go for it. But we are the party of free speech, and they're the party that bastardized and hijacked that idea. They think that free speech means that you can get on Twitter unchecked and just spew your hate speech and say the N-word as loud as you want to. They think it means going to the Capitol and overthrowing a government. They think it means beating up police officers if you disagree with the results of an election. They believe that we should go out here and glorify these people and call them patriots and hostages and act like that they were the oppressed people, and that's where we call bullshit. But I love the part where he said that the Constitution doesn't say citizen, it says every person. I'm sure there was a lot of people going, huh? Like, what? Does it really say that? Yeah, it really does say that. And if the people are going to be the constitutionalists they claim to be, then they need to go in and read it a little bit harder. You know, the thing about doing this kind of content and the thing about having people that don't understand the Constitution, don't understand the way the system works, it's actually made me dig in harder and study it harder. So if there's a silver lining in any of this, it's that their ignorance and stupidity and their willful ignorance to never want to do better has made me strive to want to do better and to build a better community. So that's what we have to continue to try to do. And I'm going to play you one more clip here from Khanna about how we do build a better America.
If you just cared about American power, and I believe there's far more to care than just power, you have to care about justice and fairness, but if you just cared about power, the way you build America's strength in the 21st century is not by conquering Canada, it's not by conquering Panama. The Chinese are laughing at us. The way you build America's strength is by educating our young people. How this president thinks that the answer is to dismantle the Department of Education, it's not just morally wrong, it's moronic.
And it needs to be called out for being moronic more often. We can't sit here and normalize Donald Trump and his insane ideas. Education is a good thing, and we should all be for it, and we should all want our children to get a good quality education, and one that doesn't have the bias of the radical right written all over it. When they want to get rid of the Department of Education and they want to completely defund public schools and cut them out and have private schools, what they really want to have is a place where Mike Johnson can stand up and indoctrinate a bunch of kids into white supremacists. That's pretty much what this is. And so we have to always remind them of who we are, what we believe in, and why. And we have to point out to them that if you're going to put America first, then you have to put everyone first. And that means people you may not always agree with. That means people that you may not send a Christmas card to. You still have to realize that if you're going to be free in this country, you have to allow everyone to be free. And getting the Gulf of America or the District of America, good Lord, or going to war with Canada or getting back the Panama Canal, none of those things are going to make any of our lives better. All it is doing, and what we're seeing right now, is Trump absolutely destroy the relationships that we've had with our allies, and we saw him strengthen our enemies, and we saw dictators sit back and just be in pure glee watching him do this. And it's so crazy to me, again, going back to the start of this video with him hijacking the party, it's so crazy to me to see a Republican Party who used to always, I thought they were different. I didn't agree with them on everything, but I thought that they had a shred of decency somewhere. And then to see them just completely allow him to hijack it and completely sell it out and suddenly be for all the things. And it's so crazy to me because we sit back and we watch MAGA go through changes. They don't even realize it. But they transition from one thing to the next. Whichever thing that Donald Trump throws at them, they roll with it. It's one of the craziest things that I've ever sat back and watched. People absolutely, whatever hoop he tells them to jump through, they jump through it. And when we point out, hey, wait a minute now, you used to be over here saying that we should stay out of these things. You used to be over here. Actually, there was a time that you were saying we should go into the Middle East and remove a dictator and restore democracy. And now you're saying that it's okay if someone's a dictator on day one and we're not actually a democracy. So we've watched them jump through those hoops many times, and I feel like we always have to call them out on it. And when someone is out there speaking to the moment, I'm going to air it and roll the clips here on the channel. And to anyone who says, well, I disagreed with something I heard Khanna say on this, you very well could, and I may have too if I heard something different. But the clips I chose today are things that he is saying that we should all be thinking about and we should all consider. And so that's what I want people to understand, because every time I've ever rolled clips of someone chimes in to go, well, I don't agree with this person and everything. Again, you're not going to, but I can definitely agree with everything he had to say in the clips that I rolled. And I truly appreciate all of you for your support here on the channel as we cruise toward we're getting closer and closer to 700,000 subscribers as we head to the road to 1 million. So if you like the kind of content I do, it don't cost nothing to hit that subscribe button. It just helps us, and I truly appreciate that. But if you ever do want to contribute a few bucks, I do have a Patreon. The link is in the description of the video, and I've been putting up some stuff over there that I think you would enjoy. On that note, I'm about to head out and get a tattoo this afternoon, and I hope that everyone has a great day, and just keep standing up to this insanity. We're on the right side of history, and that's the one thing we can't lose sight of.